This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Listen, I talk a lot about race and matters of race on this channel, and I do so because I believe that fairness and equality and justice and equity are paramount principles, founding principles that we should aspire to. And I say that we should aspire to them because it hasn't been the case over the lion's share of the history of this nation that they've been guiding principles. And I say that because even in our founding documents, our enslaver president, many of our first presidents were. Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, where he said that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He wrote those words while owning hundreds of human beings as property. So we can't say that they have certainly been a guiding light throughout the history of our country. In fact, our founders were reprehensible enslavers of human beings, hypocrites, certainly flawed men. The reason I talk about it, though, is because it needs to be brought to everybody's attention exactly what is happening, especially right now, with the media apparatus we have in this country. Fox News, in particular, is what I'm going to talk about today. Right now, there are protests happening all over the country where men and women, unmasked, disobeying social distance guidelines, are protesting to try to reopen the country. They're going against their own president's guidelines, the president who talks out of both sides of his mouth related to this. And I'm going to play a couple clips, several clips, but Tucker Carlson I'm going to focus in on because he's been like the only rational, semi-rational person over at Fox News acknowledging the pandemic as what it is. There wasn't a time before when he acted like it was a hoax. He's, for the most part, been on top of it. And he's having his way right now, promoting propaganda to his audience in attacking Governor Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, where some of these protests are happening. And I want to draw a juxtaposition against the hypocrisy, against the positions that they hold all the time about protests, until it's white people who are protesting. Watch this clip, very brief clip from Tucker Carlson, talking about Gretchen Whitmer being completely opposed to civil disobedience.
Gretchen Whitmer has spent most of her working life in the grubby, small-bore confines of Michigan state politics. That is not a training ground for excellence. So when she was elected governor a little over a year and a half ago, nobody expected that Whitmer would suddenly morph into a wise and inspired chief executive. And indeed, she hasn't. When the coronavirus hit Michigan in force last month, Whitmer had no clue what to do. So she responded with a mixture of comical ineptitude and a weird kind of arbitrary fascism. She banned the sale of carpets and paint and potted plants. She told people they couldn't fish or go to church or drive alone to their own homes. But at the same time, Whitmer kept liquor stores, weed shops, and lotto kiosks open because, and this was purely an epidemiological matter in the interest of the public health, those were essential services, quote. They also happen to provide massive tax revenue to her government. The whole thing was ridiculous. It was just a matter of time before the people suffering under this insanity said something about it. And yesterday they did. Thousands of Michigan residents drove to the state capitol in Lansing to express their displeasure. They didn't hurt anyone while they were there. They did it peacefully, as is their enshrined right under the American Constitution. But Governor Whitmer didn't like this. In fact, she was outraged. If there's one thing Gretchen Whitmer doesn't care for, it's civil disobedience.
If there's one thing Gretchen Whitmer doesn't care for, it's civil disobedience. Which is hilarious coming from this buffoon who, when talking about standing for the national anthem, or climate protesters, or people who are protesting the draconian steps that ICE takes to arrest and separate families, police brutality, any of these protests that involved black people or brown people protesting, or even white people protesting on behalf of issues that affect black and brown people, he can't stand it. If that happens, it's them tearing at the fabric of America itself. They are trying to destroy the country. But when white people protest because they can't buy paint, it needs to be talked about. More media attention needs to be drawn to this. Here are some of those that I just named. National anthem protests.
President Trump has continued to lob attacks at the league, at the Football League, predicting imminent disaster if they continue to let players protest during the national anthem.
The NFL is in a very bad box. You cannot have people disrespecting our national anthem, our flag, our country, and that's what they're doing. And in my opinion, the NFL has to change. Or you know what's going to happen? Their business is going to go to hell.
Mark Stein knows something about powerful organizations going into decline. He's been writing about Europe for decades. Mark Stein joins us tonight. Mark, it does seem like a kind of perverse system where U.S. taxpayers help make NFL team owners richer while they allow their employees to give the finger to the country that subsidizes them. How does that work?
Whining about climate protesters.
Welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Millions of school children across America, and in fact around the world, skipped school today. They weren't playing hooky. They were instead participating in a coordinated left-wing political protest. It was called Climate Strike. And so naturally, MSNBC was there to cheer them on.
New York City is the home base for these protests. School officials, public school officials, are allowing nearly 1 million students to cut classes.
Some of the signs, by the way, that I've seen so far for this rally are just absolutely fantastic.
Look, I am not in favor of encouraging people to skip class, but if there's a cause that isn't important, this is it. So good on you for going out there and telling people what really matters. Congratulations to you and those like you around the world.
Congratulations on skipping school. Throughout the day, news anchors assured their viewers that the strike was in fact being led by the kids. They were lying, of course. Like all activist movements, the climate strike was organized by cynical adults hoping to exploit children for political purposes.
Railing on about people who are protesting ICE raids in their communities.
Well, for more than a month now, supporters of illegal immigration in the state of Oregon have decided to halt the enforcement of immigration law by harassing the people who are tasked with enforcing it. Activists engaged in an Occupy ICE protest at one of the agency's facilities in Oregon. They finally left, but they left a gigantic pile of garbage to remember them by. Here it is.
And of course, complaining about people who have a problem with police brutality in their particular communities.
Well, under normal circumstances, in a sane country whose leaders didn't hate it, the people in charge would condemn this kind of unrest. The cops would round up the people vandalizing public property that belongs to all of us and arrest those who are stealing subway rides. Order would be restored. Life would go on. People would pay their $2.75 to ride the subway. But this is America in 2019. So in a move that almost perfectly embodies the absurdity of our current political moment, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez came out in favor of the riot that Trace just described. Punch a cop! She's for that.
Again, clearly, if you're white and you're protesting, it is a wonderful exhibition of your civil liberties, of your First Amendment rights under the Constitution. But if you're black or you're brown or you're white on behalf of black and brown people, you're trying to destroy America. And this is a narrative that not just Tucker Carlson, but Fox News en masse, as an organization, is putting forward. There's a woman that first of all, they're allowing bizarre arguments to be stated on their air. There's a woman named Michonne Maddock who's whining about Gretchen Whitmer's policies. I'm going to play a clip of her talking specifically. And this is on Tucker Carlson show. And then there's another one that is just bananas.
Today, thousands of Michiganders drove through Lansing, the state capital, to protest this. Michonne Maddock is with the Michigan Conservative Coalition and participated in today's protest. She joins us tonight. Michonne, thanks so much for coming on tonight. So tell us specifically what you were protesting today.
This is really born out of weeks of oppression here in Michigan. I mean, we feel right now that businesses are bankrupt by bureaucrats. That's what we're suffering under in Michigan. But she really doubled down a few days ago. I think it was on April 10th. When she came out, we were really looking for a message of hope. We were looking for a message of encouragement because our numbers are nowhere near the dire numbers that she had predicted, just a few weeks ago. And instead of patting everybody on the back and loosening our very strict rules, she doubled down. She made things even worse. And honestly, this event had to happen because these people were frustrated and fired up, and we were hearing about it nonstop. We knew we needed to contain this and give them a voice.
So this Maddock lady, she says that on April 10th, Gretchen Whitmer really doubled down on her draconian stay-at-home order. And then she goes on to say in the very next breath that our numbers are nowhere near the dire numbers that she predicted weeks ago. Maybe, dumb shit, your numbers aren't quite what they were predicted to be because of the thing that you're protesting. Because of the strong stay-at-home order that was put into place, the overreaching, you would call it, maybe because of that. That's the reason that your numbers are not out of control like was feared they would be. Following the guidance and the models provided us by the Centers for Disease Control and the National Institute of Health. Here's this same woman on Fox and Friends, and listen to this ridiculous staging of the straw man argument.
As you can see, thousands taking to the streets in Lansing, Michigan yesterday to protest Democratic governor's extended stay-at-home order, the strictest in the nation, with restrictions on purchases, family visits, even whether or not you could ride on a jet ski. Michonne Maddox calls the governor's orders tyrannical. She helped organize the protest and joins us right now. Michonne, good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve. That's exactly what it felt like. Only in Michigan, do you keep abortion clinics open and yet ban the sale of American flags. But that's exactly what we're facing here.
Only in Michigan do abortion clinics get to open, yet the sale of American flags is banned. Like you can't go online and buy an American flag. It's banned. It's banned. And then Tucker Carlson constantly talking about paint. This stay-at-home order and the businesses that were considered essential or non-essential can be debated, most certainly, whether or not that lotto kiosks should have remained open. Absolutely. That's something to talk about. But to allow that argument to go forth without check, without challenge, is a dereliction of duty on the part of Fox News and its producers and its hosts and its owners and every single person who has access to a microphone. Because you're turning this into a cultural touchstone, or you're damn sure trying to. And I say you're damn sure trying to because not only are they putting these ding-dongs on, these dangerous radicals on their air, they're also posting the tweets with all the information, the contact information, and scheduling. They're showing graphics on the air of all of the future demonstrations across the country. They're trying to promote this as though it is mainstream. And it's not mainstream. This is a marginal view. Politico a Politico poll just came out. I'm going to read from this Politico poll. More than 8 in 10 voters, 81%, say Americans should continue to social distance for as long as is needed to curb the spread of coronavirus, even if it means continued damage to the economy. Only 10% say Americans should stop social distancing to stimulate the economy, even if it means increasing the spread of coronavirus. 9% of voters have no opinion. While Democrats, 89%, are more likely than Republicans, 72%, to say Americans should continue these social distancing measures, large majorities in all demographic groups say it's more important to stop the spread of the virus than to resume economic activity that would undermine those mitigation efforts. So Fox News is giving voice to a tiny minority of individuals who are not only, well, first of all, let's just talk about this. These same idiots are the same people who would deny that the climate science, that would deny that we are experiencing climate change on a radical and accelerated pace. These are the same people who want to fight the government to not be compelled to vaccinate their children. So they're endangering their children because they're science deniers. Because liberty is more important than the health and welfare of their own children. These aren't people to be given platforms. And they're certainly not, their opinion is certainly not one that should be given the kind of time that it's being given on Fox News right now, in the interest of fomenting this culture war. As it stands right now, do as I do, and I'll look at the numbers. By the time you watch this video, there will be 800,000 cases, confirmed cases, because now we're finding out that the numbers are a lot higher than they are. But right now it's 788,920 confirmed cases of coronavirus in the United States. By the time you watch this, it will likely be over 800,000. Total confirmed deaths right now, 42,458. We're seeing in states that are going against, that are lessening their stay-at-home orders, like Florida. In 2 weeks, we're going to see a massive spike in cases because of the fact that they are opening their beaches and they're being flooded with people who are disregarding the very sane and rational orders to social distance. In Michigan, we're going to see the same thing. We're in groups right here in California, we're seeing these idiots. Granted, they are a small portion of the population, but when you have a small portion of the population that is disregarding, and each of those people can infect multiple people, and then each of the people they infect can infect multiple people, it becomes an untenable situation. The reason why the models have changed is because social distancing works. Fox News, once again, is doing a grave disservice to the American people, endangering actual lives. Blood on their hands. I would love to know what you think. 714-576-4054. Email me daily@dollemore.com. As always, I would appreciate you considering, if you are in the financial position to do so, to help support independent media just like this. Click below there. There's a join button. Find the details out about becoming a channel member for less than $2 a month. You can help support content just like this, voices just like mine. If there's other people that you get more value out of, support those people. It is important, more now than ever, I think, to support independent voices, independent media. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of each one of your neighbors, your friends, your family, your community.